Hey y'all, welcome to the Liberation is Lit podcast where the power of storytelling meets the force of social change. I'm your host, Taylor Simon, and in this podcast, we believe in the profound impact of stories. And I'm so excited. We were just like chatting it
Yes.
up right before recording, but I'm so excited to be here with my good sis, Diana. From
Yes.
we met do Diana will talk about all of the things that she does, but we met during her creative writing hour, and I
Yes.
hate that I haven't been able to go lately, but it's such a good time, such a supportive space for Black women writers. And I love her and all of her work. Hey, Diana, what's up?
Hey, hey, we were certainly having our fun before we started this podcast. And I love you for creating a space that's so safe and so free for people to be themselves and to get into this type of like important, joyful, and deep conversations too. So I'm excited to be here with you today.
Yeah. So, Diana, can you tell us more about yourself as a writer
Hmm.
and what led you to create your upcoming, at the time of this recording, upcoming, but as of yesterday, if you're
I know,
listening,
right?
Creative Stillness. What led you to create Creative Stillness and tell us about yourself as a writer?
Yes, absolutely. So Diana as a writer is such a filler. Like I have such a vulnerable heart. I always cried at everything super easily, music, commercials, things, people I don't know. So I think that I fell into the page when it comes to like becoming an author. Back in Dominican Republic when I started actually like writing thoughts and cute little quotes or I don't know, poems for people I liked. It was for fun, right? It was just the innocence of writing, and I never thought that I would be here as an author doing the things that I'm doing. So I think it's beautiful what happens when we surrender to like the purpose in our life, like when we actually listen and pause. So as a writer, I love to capture life. I love to capture the humanness, the good, the ugly, the in between, the questions, the heartache, the unspoken. I think nature speaks to us in many ways. I think people that we don't know or that we cross carry so many stories. So that's the type of writer I am, like I love seeing people be themselves, express themselves, talk funny, have a certain word that they love. And yeah, I think the heart of it all is our like our humanity. So I try my best to capture that within my writing as well. Yeah, other question was about creative stillness, right? So oh, creative stillness. The term creative stillness came about now about 2 years ago. And I tried to switch from saying writer's block and I landed at creative stillness because my thought process was this. A lot of us feel like bad writers when we're unable to get to the page in the way that we want to show up. We want to force the words. We want to sit for an hour and produce, produce, produce. When in reality, sometimes we have to listen to the words and perhaps not write them down. We have to live our lives in order to gain creativity. Because after all, whether you're writing a fictional book, a novella, a poetry book, whatever it is, you're literally taken in from your life as inspiration and creativity and then being pretty much, like a channeling into the page. So I thought maybe it really is a combination of the creativity and the pause. Maybe you need to close the book, close the computer, put away the painting, utensils, and go call your best friend and talk for an hour. Go for a walk, go listen to the birds. Do something you never done before that is going to spark that creativity because we may think that the tree is not growing, but underneath there's a whole creation happening. You know what I mean? So it's so powerful we're able to take a pause and say, an idea is creativity, a sentence is creativity, a title is creativity. Maybe I can just write it down and put it away and I'll come back to it in a month. So that's where the creative stillness term came about. And since then, I just been japping about it. I'm like, we're all great human beings and creatives, but sometimes we don't know when to be still. So Yeah. I'm excited. I'm excited for what's to come. And that is the heart of the anthology. The different scenarios in our lives that could be hard, but could be easy, but could be joyful, that whole tradition, that whole ritual, that whole heritage. And in that, they can be very different, but they still come together and allow us to write a poem or a story. So yeah, that's that's like creative stillness in a nutshell.
Oops. And I didn't realize how much this idea encapsulates my writing style. And literally, I've written poems about trees and their growth and how, like, you only want to pay attention to the branches, but their roots growing as well. And that's what you can't see. So I really love that beautiful story behind the anthology. And even when you said that, oh, we try to force ourselves to produce, and get frustrated when we show up to the page and we can't produce. And I'm gonna cheat a little bit. I know I didn't discuss this question with you beforehand, but how do you balance that need for creative stillness, but this pressure that I feel like a lot of writers feel to produce in such a hyper capitalistic society? How do you find that balance?
Right. Yes. It's very different than before. See, when I started posted on Instagram, it was around 2018. I was still living in Japan, which is where I had my first open mic. I never read my work out loud. And then here I am with my friends, with my loved ones, doing it in front of a crowd that wasn't even like poetry focused. It was like singers and dancers and people getting their drinks. And I felt like, oh my gosh, nobody's paying attention to me. So, anyways, back then, the social media platform was very different. You could post a long poem, people will read it, people will interact. It wasn't so much about the content. When the word content creation really came into the picture, everything shifted. And even within myself, I felt like I was trying, and I did play the game. I have to post 3 or 4 times a day, and people are not seeing my things, and my voice got so lost in the midst of it all. I started to compare myself to other people that I shouldn't have because they already have a huge platform. I had incidents in which people were stealing my words, and then I felt like I couldn't do anything because now you're like, I don't have enough followers or blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? You start to really compete and see your worth as a like, as a share, as a number, and that is just not the way to go as creatives, right? As people that has such gift. We need the freedom to express ourselves outside of these restrictions and boundaries. So for me, it was first accepting my voice. Okay. Yes, I may not be the poet that just posts the poems, you know. I may be the writer that does the poetry, the quote, the pictures, the random things, and that's okay. I had to let go of the perception and the question, what is people going to think about me? You know, and then how are they viewing me? Because if I'm not being myself out here right now, if I am actually hesitating and doubting my voice, and I'm not being my real self. So after I started to really build the confidence and trust in my story, it was more of a deciding how I decide to show up. What is too much? I don't owe anybody anything in social media. I think that's what we forget. We think that we have to show people that we're working so hard all the time, that we're not falling behind, that we're still the shit. And I don't need to show you that all the time. I like to think of myself as like a silent killer. Okay? You don't know what I'm working on until I pop up with the thing. You don't know that you know what I mean? Like I have found the balance of my social media, my online space is like my portfolio. I look at it that way. So it doesn't create that like need to be proving something all the time. But we have to look at ourselves and ask, are we doing this for validation? Like what is the purpose of it all at the end? Because for me, it's like I want to create safe spaces for people to meet outside of myself. The creative writing hour is for that. Yes, we use a platform, but I want you guys to meet in person if you're near each other. I want you guys to go ahead and publish your words. I want you to understand that there are 20,000 poetry books out there, but they're not your poetry book. They're not your story. They're not your eyes, you know? So it can certainly be difficult to balance it out, but you have to crack the code for you. You know what I mean? I could go on and on because it's definitely based on personal experience, right? And what your inner battles are. But for me, was definitely identifying my voice, trusting my voice, and finding the path to what is a balance that keeps me grounded in what I show and don't show, in loving my work and not competing with anybody or comparing myself to people that have already started the work before me. Like that's delusional for me to say, why am I not like Maya? Come on now. It just doesn't make any sense. So yeah.
And I'm definitely the same where I feel like it's an ongoing journey to find that balance, especially when you have to eat. So, but I love the community that you did build with Creative Writing Hour. And so, my next question is, why do you believe in building community among writers? And how did that community influence creative stillness?
I believe in it because I have to go back when I created this Instagram account, there was such a funny thing happening back then. It was like you had a group of poets and we had a group chat and then you all kind of talk to each other. It doesn't matter where in the world you were. And it was like a group of us. There's people from Australia, other countries, and we'll tell each other, hey, I'm posting this poem later. Like I would love to hear your thoughts. And that was the first time I like encounter a poetry community. We didn't really know each other, and I built community with them, and I love their work. And I still think about so many of them who are no longer even posting that I don't know where they are in life at all. If they still write, if they don't write, and there is a sadness behind it, but from that, really, it really did allow me to think there are people out there who truly do care about not only supporting you, but coming together as a community to make a positive impact of truly capturing and honoring the stories of our ancestors, of our parents, of, your children, if you're a mother or a father, or your struggles or your wisdom. And for me, it was like after experiencing all that and then growing as an individual and within my writing career, I also understood how lonely writing is. Very lonely. And I'm the type of person that I love going to the gym because I love seeing other people work out because it motivates me. So I was like, yeah, we need to be around each other, even if we are, virtual. So from there, of course, I would join other workshops, I would see. But when I started the creative writing hour, I was only going to do it twice a month. And my best friend, Dr. Lita, was like, you need to do it twice a week. And I was like, girl, that is a responsibility. That's often. And she said, well, go ahead and do it. But let me tell you this, Tyler, like, if I never took the time to trust my voice and understand who I am, I would have never been able to make other people feel the way they feel when they come into the creative writing hour, because I wouldn't have been myself. So to be in community means that I welcome you as you are, that I don't have to ask you who were you 5 years ago, that I just want to hold a tender, understanding, safe space for you to express yourself. You could come and not talk for all sessions if you want, but I'll honor that. So I think community, the word community now is used so much for trends and for marketing and for, yeah, we're in community. What's your Instagram account? Who's your network? Can you plug me in with this? That's not community. You know, can you come to me and tell me I don't have a meal? Can you perhaps like share the word for people to create a meal train? Yes. Because after all, a creative community doesn't just care about you publishing a book. I care about you as a human being. Because if you're not good, how can you create? How can you be safe in trusting that creation? So that is what community means to me. That is why I do what I do with the Creative Writing Hour. And I absolutely love it. It's no longer mine. I always say it now. I'm like, it's the people's, right? Community. And I love it because everybody is very proud of being there. And I'm proud of them. So yeah.
Yes, and I do feel that sense of community, even though Thursday nights at 8 is a late start for me, and then I've had so many markets on Sundays, so I haven't been able to come as much as I want to, but when I do show up, I am welcome with open arms, and it's not where you been? And that is what community is. When life gets tough, it's like you show up when you can and people are still there for you and you're still there for people. And it's such an amazing space. And I know you've done a little crossovers in the past between Creative Writing Hour and some of your poetry workshops. So, can you tell us about some of your other published works?
Absolutely. Yes. So my very first baby was agridulce, which means bittersweet in Spanish. And that's the book that I started slowly while I was living in Japan and then continued after moving back to the United States right at the peak of COVID. I had no clue what I was doing. I just knew there was something there to be said, and it was certainly the door I needed to cross in order to build that confidence within myself and my story. That book is special. It's a book that I love how people feel like I was spying on them because they're like, you must have written this poem about my life and about me. And I'm like, that makes me feel so proud because I could have shied away from certain truths so easily. So I love to encourage others to say the thing that feels the hardest because you never know when somebody can connect with it. So that has been my only published work of my own as a collection, aside from Creative Stillness coming out. And of course, I there's been publications that I've been a part of and amazing people that I work with when it comes to like workshops here in Georgia, Black Writers Weekend, Silent Book Club Marietta, LA Times, and other places which have welcomed me with open arms, and we have been able to create something that's truthfully ours and reflects the mission and vision of what we do. So I'm excited to have two books available for people to read and many to come, God willing. So it is certainly an exciting journey ahead.
That is amazing, and one of these days, I gotta make my way to you're in Atlanta?
Yes, so I live like literally
Okay,
30 minutes off, so super close.
okay, one of these days, I gotta
I'm
make my
waiting.
way to Atlanta. I know from
I'm
Columbia, it's
waiting.
3.5 hours,
Listen,
so, yes, definitely maybe the next Black Writers Weekend because my friend
it's in
Ryan has been
August, Miss
tagging me in all the
Cher.
stuff.
I'm just saying it's coming up in
That
August, so pull up.
right. So, what keeps you grounded in this work as a writer? What keeps you showing up to the page every single time and being so intentional with your twice a week community?
Girl, being delusional keeps me going. Okay, let's be real. I am not going to sit here and tell you all this little stuff, things that I do. The work is hard, and the work will break you and mold, like, and build you up again and ask you questions that you may not be ready to face. The work is not easy, and the work will push you to be alone at times because you're outgrowing patterns, outgrowing people, outgrowing ideas. So it's not been easy to know how to stay grounded. But I think what keeps me grounded today, right now, is knowing that this work is bigger than myself. This is a God-given creative gift. I'm borrowing it for this lifetime. I'm hoping to do the best that I can with it to bring people together, to heal others through our own works. that brings me a lot of joy because it's not a selfish pursuit. It's definitely a communal pursuit. Like, you're winning, I'm winning. You know, like your son graduated from school. Ooh, girl, let's celebrate. You know, like it keeps me grounded to know why I'm doing it. Otherwise, I will be lost in like the small little things are not working. Cause and you know, it's not everything is gonna work. Not every opportunity is gonna be a yes. So if I would have listened to all the emails that rejected me every time I submitted a poem, I would not be here. Now I just look at them and I laugh. Like, okay, I can be a little more creative with how y'all telling me my poem wasn't selected. Bye. You know, it's gonna be published. Trust and believe somewhere. But of course, like prayer keeps me grounded, friends keep me grounded, family keep me grounded. How to step away keeps me grounded. Like, this is enough. I've done enough. I done well. I'm gonna close the laptop and I am gonna go have a girl dinner and watch a favorite show. And that's good enough for me. And I love that. I love that I'm at that stage where I'm no longer placing self blame. Of course, we all kind of hesitate, have a little bit of like imposter syndrome here and there, but it's different when you know it's different when you ask yourself the necessary questions and you kind of like go about it. So that is how I have been standing, you know, staying grounded as of lately.
Yes, I love it. And I made a post on Threads the other day and I was like, I don't even know why I had imposter syndrome anymore because there's people out here unapologetically regurgitating AI as their own work. So,
About that. Yeah.
yep,
And here we are wondering about posting a video. I'm like, come on now.
right. So, my last question for you today is what advice would you offer listeners who want to make a positive impact in their communities?
Hmm. Not an easy question. Well, let's look at it this way. You can't ask somebody for something you're not willing to give yourself. So have a have an open heart to the people out there, to your community. Actually seek to understand what your community needs, you know, and how you can meet that need, how you can be of assistance. I think that's very important. You know, sometimes we wonder why people don't give us their time, but we don't give them our time. So when it comes to building community, helping community, even going out volunteer for something, you know, not worrying about getting paid, but showing up consistently. You never know who's watching. You never know who is seeing your good deed in your heart. So seek to learn what your community needs. Show up as much as you can, right? You don't have to burn yourself out, but learn and be willing to be taught as well, things that you don't know, in order to be a better member of your community, whether it is your literal community around your neighborhood or your writing community or your creative community. That would be my advice because sometimes we might step into things and think it's for us, you know, like I want to do this so I can feel better. And that could blind us from actually helping, you know, the community.
Yeah, I know some nonprofit projects out here exist as ego. We won't name names.
We need to go out there and be like, ma'am, sir, pull out that mission statement again and that vision because it's not aligning.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, thank you so much again, Diana, for this amazing conversation. And I'm proud of us. We stayed on track.
We sure did. But we could
Where can
continue, but
people
we'll save it for another one. That's okay.
right. We'll do a little Kishi,
Kiki,
just like a fun session one day.
sign me up.
Um, yes. Where can people find you and keep up with your work?
Oh, yes, absolutely. So literally, social media handle is my name, Dhayana Alejandrina, and the Creative Writing Hour as well has its own platform. And I am also in Substacks as Dhayana Alejandrina, aka Thoughts on Life. So if anybody out there also has a newsletter, definitely feel free to read, and I can also support your work. But yeah, that is the easiest way to find me around.
Thanks again. I'll make sure to link all of those in the show notes, as well as by the time this recording comes out, the link to get your copy of Creative Stillness. So I'm
Yeah,
super excited to read and get my copy. So thank you. And
thank
thank you,
you.
listeners, for being a part of the Liberation is Lit podcast. If you have
Thank
any
you.
stories you want to share, want to suggest any topics, or just want to connect, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Liberation is Lit, or visit our website, liberationislit.com. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving a review. And remember, your voice matters, and together through the lens of stories, we're going to make a difference in the world. Until next time.